Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
How about now? Got me now? Of course, it takes like 3 seconds. Let's see. How about now? Got me now? All right, technical difficulties, guys. That is my fault. I changed the mic right before I. Sorry, that was my 3-year-old yelling. Um, I changed the mic literally right before I started, and apparently there were some settings that needed to be changed between the old mic and the new one. It's actually not new. I don't normally use it with this setup. So, like I said, I'm changing a lot of things, guys. You guys didn't hear that at the beginning, but I'll just recap. So basically, I've been I got a lot of advice from actually Andrew's guys. I talked to Andrew's guys, and they told me that that I suck a lot, and most of it was production, right? And so I've changed where the camera's mounted. I've changed the microphones. I've changed a bunch of different stuff, which I already had good microphones. That wasn't really the problem. It's just I just changed some things to make it nicer. And I'm actually probably going to move from in here to out in the airplane shed in the office there where I do broadcast from sometimes, but it just takes time to get that set up, and I just have not had the time to set it up. So I did the best I could in here tonight to try and make something happen. And normally this would as I said earlier, which you couldn't hear, this would be where I would talk about um, what an unreasonable man is and all of that, and go into the whole you know diatribe about the moniker. But we're just going to dive right in. I don't know if you guys caught it, but last night I was on with the Based Oracle, which is another small up and coming podcaster. Really neat guy. We had a really great show, I thought, and it was great for basically two guys that we'd never talked before, we'd never really met or anything. It was just kind of like, yeah, let's just do it. It'll be cool. So that's what we did, and overall, I thought the show was really, really good. I felt like it really, really went in the direction that I liked, and I'll link it in the show description down below a little later, and we'll just keep traveling on. So tonight I'm going to do, I am changing things up a little bit. I'm going to dive straight into some just weird stuff, but it's actually not that weird. It's just there's a lot of stupid shit in the news. I don't know if you guys know this. Some of this is news. Some of this has been kind of ongoing for the last couple of weeks, and there is a lot. I mean, there is a record amount of really stupid crap in the news. We're going to start off with Oregon has reversed all of their drug laws. They made they decriminalized, which basically made legal all drugs, hard drugs, pot, all of it is all legal. Record numbers of suicide, record numbers of accidental overdose, record amount of crime against other people, which they didn't actually list as part of it, but that was part of it. And it was a complete failed experiment for the last 2 years. And who could have predicted that? I mean, really? I mean, maybe, the entire rest of the country that said, don't do that. That's dumb. Don't do it. And so, that's stupid. I don't know why. I have no idea why people think that in this day and age, with our society the way it is, that decriminalizing hard drugs is the way to go. That is just the dumbest thing you could possibly say. And there's really no coming back from it because it's just stupid. But almost as stupid, well, actually, probably maybe more stupid, is the fact that the Colorado legislature. Now, this is interesting because about a year ago, I think, maybe a year and a half ago, I'd have to look for the exact dates, but about a year and a half ago, the Colorado legislature got sued for having secret votes to push laws up or down as far as when they were going to vote on them, right? So basically, if it was a gun control law, it got pushed up. If it was an illegal immigration law, it might get pushed down or it might get pushed up. But these were all secret votes happening behind closed doors, and that's wrong. We shouldn't do that. And so they got sued over one of these secret meetings. Actually, I think two. I think there were two cases, and so they got sued. They went to court over it, and I think they lost. And so what they've done now is, first of all, when they lost, they basically just passed a law saying that they could that the judge's decision didn't matter. Then just recently, I think just last week, they passed another set of laws which makes it perfectly legal for the state legislature only to pass or to pardon me to have secret meetings, hold um, meetings and votes completely off the record. There's no media allowed. There's no oversight allowed. There are no minutes or records taken at these meetings, and they're not. And it's not allowed. And not only is it not allowed, you can't go in. Like they will stop you. You can't go in to these meetings, and they will arrest you. And it's now that right there is like that's Gestapo shit right there. So, and that's in Colorado. That's in Denver. They just passed it, I think, this week or last week. And then, of course, you have the Fannie Willis thing where the judge, who I think he was trying to give Willis an out to recuse herself and just walk away and keep her law license. I've heard a couple of different takes on this, and here's mine. Is that better? Is it back? I don't know what's going on with my mic. Better? Not better? What the? My glass. Okay, good. All right. Technical difficulties, folks. I don't normally have them, but I am getting them all tonight. Okay, so Fannie Willis, she did fire Wade, the prosecutor that she was sleeping with. Start back at the top of Fannie. Okay, so Fannie Willis, the judge. A lot of people are saying that the judge really handed her a gift because what he could have done and probably should have done is he probably should have he probably should have done nothing, let them go on with the case, and then filed himself a complaint as an officer of the court against her to the state bar to get both her and Wade disbarred. He did not do that. The judge was actually really nice about it, and what he did is, I think he handed her a gift. So either her or Wade could stay on the case, or at least stay in the prosecutor's office. She, of course, fired Wade today, I think. He's gone. He's out of the picture completely. I would not be surprised to hear that she's up in front of the state bar in Georgia to probably be disbarred or have her law license suspended or revoked, and which means that she can't be the prosecutor. And she's actually just started her reelection campaign. So again, stupid shit that's in the news every day. I mean, it's getting really crazy. How even the news that people try to keep quiet and is so so crazy, it's out there. So It's really an interesting thing. Um, yeah, I mean, there's just so much. Um, and we don't even have to get into like Russia or Ukraine or any of that stuff. We can just sit here and talk all night about the stuff in the U.S. that's messed up. But I'm not going to. We're going to move on. That's enough news, current events stuff. Uh, and you'll notice that I don't cover the fan pages or anything like that. I don't care who's sleeping with who. I don't care who is suing who. Although, do we think do we think Diddy is on the DL? You know, because that's I guess that's what black men call it when they're doing gay stuff is they're on the down low. Do you think Diddy is really on the DL? Do you think that's a real thing? Because it seems like there's just a lot of um, it just feels like there's a lot of evidence there, a lot of smoke. Like I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be I don't want to be involved in that. I mean, that's crazy, man. And the stuff that supposedly he's done is crazy. Like soap opera stuff, man. Yeah. So I don't know. Well, Tiki Tack, it's actually not soap opera drama, man. It's this stuff with Diddy is um that's in court right now, and everybody, there's of course everybody's trying to play it off like, well, it's just a recording company who's doing this to pressure him or whatever. I mean, dude apparently shot somebody, and lied about it. So I mean, there's going to be a lot. I mean, this is going to get interesting. This is another Epstein deal. But enough of that stuff. Let's get into the actual meat of the podcast tonight, and it's a little time for story time. We're gonna have a little bit of story time tonight. We're gonna talk about suffering for our art, and um, the when I was a younger man, like much younger, like just out of college, uh, I I think that my mindset was different than what I see out there today, and I think that we need to return to similar mindsets. Um, there's a it seems like there's an unwillingness in today's current society to suffer at all. Like period. Like not even like go outside in the heat, like don't leave the air conditioning, And and I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking, we were just talking online about it. And when I was younger, um right out of college, well, I don't even know if I was finished with college yet. I would I just had to work really hard, and one of the things I did is as I got out of college, I actually moved across country where I didn't know anybody. I didn't, I had one friend, or a guy, it was a dude I thought was like a really good friend. He ended up being kind of just a friend. He just wasn't ever like he wasn't a stand up dude. When all the chips were down, he was gone. So and which is one thing that I think that's really hard to find out about somebody that you think is a friend. I think that you put a lot of faith in people, or you listen to somebody and they tell you something and you like invest in it mentally and physically, and then it turns out to be completely opposite. And so I moved across country, and at that time I gotten out of school, and I was kind of wondering what I was going to do with life. Um, obviously I had a job. I was running movie theaters, and I actually thought that at that point in my life, I thought all I'm going to do is I'm going to end up running movie theaters. I'm going to end up being like a city manager or a regional manager one day, and house kid cars, whatever. And that was it. This is going to be my life. And then I moved across country, and I worked for another theater, and I got a different viewpoint of another theater chain. I got a different viewpoint of it, and that experience kind of showed me more. And one of the things it did is that I'd already been into autocrossing as far as racing goes, and a little bit of road racing, but I hadn't really done a lot. And um, I got in with a bunch of guys that, because I was out of my level, I was out of my comfort zone because I didn't have any friends there, so I had to go make new friends, and you know, there was a lot of freedom in that too. You could go out and just make new friends that had nothing to do with anything that your old friends would have done. So I got heavier and heavier into racing and restoration of cars and automobiles, and that's where I kind of really decided. I helped a guy with a restoration on a Porsche 914 that we actually turned into a really cool autocross car and did some other cool stuff with it. And I had a I had like this moment when I was working on it one day where I was like, this is really what I enjoy doing. This is what I want to do, and I'm good at it. Like I'm really good at this stuff. So, um, I ended up that it kind of ran its course. Being out west, I was in Tahoe, and that kind of ran its course. I got kind of tired of the whole lifestyle, and I got kind of tired of the. I actually I got tired of Tahoe and Reno because it's a very transient society, and like people would move there, and then you'd like make this friend, or you'd have this group of people you hung out with, and then 6 months later, or even 3 months later, they're all gone because they all moved to somewhere else to go chase the next job, trying to be a ski bum or something. So it's just an interesting point in my life, and that's where I started reevaluating, and I went back to Tennessee, and I worked for a little while, just random jobs, and I ended up getting a chance to go to work for this Porsche shop in North Carolina, and they were like the best. Like they were arguably one of the better Porsche shops on the East Coast and probably the whole country. And they had just come off of some pretty heavy wins in vintage and club racing. They've been competing every year at Daytona. Um, they hadn't won because they weren't a factory car, but they'd done really well, and they had some really talented people there. Now, I need to back up a minute and say that when I was in California, Tahoe, and Reno, I suffered, man. I was poor. Like I had a job that barely paid my necessities. I had no extra money to really go do anything. Even riding a motorcycle, I didn't have enough cash to do stuff with. So it just really was. It was very interesting, really. And when I decided that I wanted to get into racing, like at least as a job, I didn't actually. I never made. I don't know if I ever made the decision to do it as a career per se. When I made that decision, um, I knew I was going to suffer. I knew that it was going to be tough. It's just a tough line of work. It's a tough career path because teams come and go. You're only as good as last season. What your results were. You're only as good as you're only really as good as you can convince the guy who's going to write you a check thinks you are. And it was tough. And I remember when I went to Mooresville, um, for the first 2 months, probably at least the first month, I slept in the shop. They had a shower there. Most race shops have a shower because you're there all the time, and you may need to clean up. And so most of them have a shower. So I there was a closet basically as a storeroom, and I had a sleeping bag, and I slept in this closet, and I would go eat dinner. I'd go hang out with people, and then I'd go back to the shop, and I'd work for a little bit, and I'd go to bed. And I literally lived that way for about a year. And now I got in. After I think the first 2 months, I found a roommate and got into an apartment, and it was a little different. But it was. I made money, but I didn't make enough money to be like really comfortable. And um, it was just always a case of suffering for my art. And so once I finished up in Mooresville and I had a reputation and I knew people, and then I went somewhere else and it was kind of the same thing. And it was always that way. But and what I had determined after I went to Mooresville was that the number one thing I needed to do, hands down, was I had to become the best at what I did, period. And to do that, I had to go where the best people were. So I couldn't just go and learn how to rebuild transmissions from somebody that rebuilt transmissions for Mr. Transmission downtown. I had to go to like the guy who built the transmissions for the Le Mans winning cars or whatever, and I had to do that. And I did that every single time, and until I ended up in Colorado, and then the rest of that is kind of history. But and that's kind of a long, drawn out way to talk about this, but people don't suffer for their art anymore. They really do expect to graduate college and walk into a job that pays them whatever it is they think they should be making. And if they don't, they get really disappointed and they get really dejected, and they can't even basically function at all. And we see it over and over and over again. And the real kind of consequence of that is if that person stays in that job and they don't get frustrated and quit, they become very jaded, and and honestly they become poor managers. And as they move up and start managing people, right? So they start out as a guy who's just out of college. The job's not what he thought it was. He doesn't get what he thinks he should have gotten. He becomes a little jaded. But he stays there, doesn't quit, becomes manager or assistant VP or whatever, I don't know. And he still thinks that he's better than where he is in life. And he's unwilling to suffer for it, right? Like he demands of the employer and his staff anything and everything that they can get. And so at the end of the day, they actually become really poor managers and really hard to work for. And that makes the new crop of people coming in hate their job just as much or more. So it's a very interesting thing that this idea of just, kind of coming in, being willing to buckle down and get it done and learn and become the best you possibly can be, and achieve that growth, is so foreign now, and it's so ridiculously um it's just so ridiculously um handled, I guess. Right? I don't know if that's not really the right word. It's just so ridiculously demonstrated in the world. And we see it, the stupid thing is we see it in literally everything. Like even the let's just take OF girls, right? Let's just go to the basic, right? To the base level. They're not willing to actually go get a job and learn a skill, or to go get married, or go whatever. They're not willing to do things in a conventional um, way, but they're absolutely perfectly fine to take the easiest possible way out and just sell pictures of their butthole on the internet. And the problem is that in the end they're going to suffer more. So here's the thing, and this is kind of where I was, and it took me a while to get there, guys. I apologize. That was kind of probably really boring, but here's the thing. A a man or woman who starts out and they go through and they're forged right through. This is a forging process. This is the heat and the fuck. I keep hitting that mic. Um, it's the heat and the pressure and all of it, right? And you're forged into something better than you would have been, and you become something that you could not have become otherwise. And what happens is that there's an easy path out for a lot of people. And for a lot of girls, that's OF, right? Or porn or whatever. And there's even just being a podcaster, just running around in bathing suits, right? Like, yeah, it's we say life on easy mode, but I don't think that we really understand how that really affects everything, right? And if you're not going to be forged, if you're not going to suffer for your art, if you're not going to be whittled away until the strongest material is left, you will, Flan, that's right. You will have no character. You will have no ability to lead. Now, you might know how to lead. You might know the mechanics of it. You might be given a position where you do lead. But at the end of the day, you are not capable of proper leadership. You're not capable of proper function in society. These OF girls, and cam girls and porn queens and all of this other thing, all of these things that all of these easy way out, it doesn't build character. It actually erodes your character. It actually sickens you, and you become something that is doomed to a life of unhappiness and a basic toxicity in your system. And I don't even know that that's really up for discussion. Really, I mean, I don't know any way that you could. I don't know of any case that you could make where, without going through a period of trial, of harshness, that you could claim that you've earned something, or that you've become who you need to be, and your character has been um, formed, right? And I like all of these quotes. Flan, I really like that. Hard times create strong men or women. And again, the title of this episode is "Smooth Seas Never Made a Skilled Sailor." You cannot succeed in life if you take the easiest path every single time. It doesn't work. You can't do it. And you know, and sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes you want to quit. Sometimes you just want to give up. Sometimes you want to say, "Oh, you know what? I want to go down and be a convenience store clerk. Why would I not? I mean, get paid to stand around and talk on the phone all night. Why wouldn't I want to do that?" But you can't. You cannot do it. You have to do better. You have to get within yourself. You have to actually, like, you have to build yourself stronger. You have to. And if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you're probably going to be very unhappy in life. And and there's so many examples of this in modern society. I mean, I would love to tell you that I could give you just even one example of someone who has just come out and done nothing but be there and just exist, and they have good character and do great things. And I cannot think of a single person. Every one of my heroes, every person that I truly look up to, has come through something. It doesn't matter if they were born rich, born poor, born medium, um, you know, medium income. Doesn't matter. At some point in their life, they had to go through something. They had to suffer a little bit for their art. And if you're not going to do it, you're just going to fail. And this kind of leads me back into, something that we talk about a lot on this program, is that um, you need to live purposefully. You need to date with intent. You need to be someone in life that, I mean, honestly, is worth listening to. Like, why would someone care to be a part of your life if you're not doing these things, right? I mean, they might just because they like you, they want to be around you, they're fair weather friends, they're whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, if you're not living purposefully, right? If you're not doing things with a plan and a path and a direction, how long do you really expect to live anyway? I mean, that's exactly why I believe that, like, I think that's why my grandfather became bitter and passed away as young. Obviously he lived a long time, but as early as he did, because he didn't feel like he had anything to do in life. He had worked his whole life, and then one day he got up, he was retired, he didn't have anything left to do. Everything, that he could he could fix some stuff around the house, but that really wasn't something to do. And then the retirement career that he had lined up didn't turn out the way he wanted. He was going to be a washing machine repairman. By the time he retired, washing machines at that point in our history were basically disposable. And so nobody would pay him to fix them. They would pay him to haul them off, but that's it. And so, um, after a few years of kind of struggling with that, I watched him just kind of sit in his chair every day and fade away. And he gave up. He did not have a purpose to live for, and he was no longer living purposefully. Now I'm gonna kind of branch off of that in a minute for a minute and say that living purposefully also encompasses all of it, right? Your um, whatever religion you choose to practice, you live purposefully within that. Whatever um, job you decide to do, whatever career path you decide to do, the way that you comport yourself, do it purposefully, and you'll be happier, right? Like, I mean, it's okay to be spontaneous. That's fine, but live purposefully, right? And by default, then you will date with intent. Once you decide what that intent is, whether it's to just go out and get a hookup, which depending on where you fall, that's bad or good. I'm not gonna get into that part of it right now. That's a long conversation. Um, or if you're dating for marriage, you must date with intent. You have to do that, and if you don't do that, there is there's no upside to not doing it that way. To just kind of float through life, it's just not going to work for you. So I don't know that I have just a ton more to talk about on that, but we'll probably loop back around to it. I'm going to try and pull this up really quick. I have a really cool kind of video here for you guys. This is going to be awesome. Um, I saw this today. You guys may have seen it. And you may have seen this. And let me go ahead and hit play here. So you guys tell me what you think about this. Did I need to restart? Hopefully we don't have to restart it. May play it through twice. We'll see. Can't hear the vid. All right. Let me I had all kinds of volume problems tonight. Can you hear it? Can you hear it now? Still can't hear it. What in the world is going on here? Oh, why is this not letting me in? This is nuts. Why am I? Why is this not? All right, let me. Still nothing. That's crazy. Wait.
Watching this video, look, I'm not going to say what that man did was right because it wasn't. It wasn't fair to that young lady who didn't know the rules. You know, he basically tricked her, hoodwinked her, bamboozled her. And that's never fair when someone does that to you. But that was good. That was pretty good. That was pretty damn good. And I ain't gonna lie to you, if I was older like that man in that picture, that's probably
All
a
right,
good
guys,
idea.
let's watch
Don't
this
get mad at that
again.
man because we all know why that girl married him.
You know why
This
I'm
is
here.
great.
You know why I'm here. They know why I'm here. Y'all know why I'm here.
This is the craziest divorce of all time, and the internet can't decide who to support. Back in 1994, Gabriel met Christina at a party and they really hit it off. They ended up getting married even though she was 30 years younger than him. They were happily married for 20 years, but one day Christina decided that she wanted to get a divorce. But when she went to her lawyer, she was shocked to hear that she was already divorced from Gabriel 20 years ago. And this is because 4 months after their marriage, the couple went to the Dominican Republic for a vacation. And Gabriel divorced her there because that's the only country where one party can file for divorce without informing the other party. And he says that he did this because he knew that Christina would divorce him and try to take all his money.
Dominican Republic. Hey, I bet there's going to be a lot of men booking trips to the DR after watching this video. Look, I'm not going to say what that man did was right because it wasn't. It wasn't fair to that young lady who didn't know the rules. You know, he basically tricked her, hoodwinked her, bamboozled her. And that's never fair when someone does that to you. But that was good. That was pretty good. That was pretty damn good. And I ain't gonna lie to you, if I was older like that man in that picture, that's probably a good idea. And don't get mad at that man because we all know why that girl married him.
You know why I'm here. You know why I'm here. They know why I'm here. Y'all know why I'm here.
This is the craziest divorce of
All right, guys. So all right, guys. So that was scuffed. That was about as scuffed as anything's ever been. I apologize. Um, anyway, so the guy's married to her for 4 months, takes her to the Dominican Republic on like a vacation. Hey, honey, we're going on a vacation, and then divorce. She doesn't know the whole time, and he knew it was coming. Obviously, he knew it was coming. He's like, "Yeah, you know what's going to happen here? We're going to get a divorce. You're going to divorce my ass at some point and try and take all my money, but we're already divorced, and you get nothing." Talk about prior planning. I mean, seriously, that is some long range nukes. I'm just telling you. I mean, God, is that not the best? I can't even believe where that went, though. I mean, yeah, she was just like, I'm going to punch out. I'm going to take my golden parachute. And there wasn't one. There was no parachute. There was nothing. There was nothing. That poor lass got nothing. They had to do what? He's playing 4D chess. Damn right, Flan. That is awesome. I mean, just, I mean, that was just crazy, man. It was, it was nuts. I mean, but you gotta think, I mean, the girl's like 30 years younger than you, right? So, you're, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he had to have friends that have been screwed, right? Like before. And maybe he had been, we don't know. I mean, we don't know the whole story, but, at the end of the day, she, she did try and divorce him. I mean, that's no lie, right? So, um, yeah, that was crazy, man. When I saw that, I had to bring that to you guys because you guys would truly appreciate it. And that's good stuff. I'm gonna throw some comments up here. I saw one, and there it is, right there. Let me put that up there. Ticky tack. Sometimes you have to stop sharing the screen and start again. Thank you. Appreciate that. I did that. Actually, what happened is I had it muted everywhere and I unmuted it, but I didn't unmute it in the actual fucking video. So, it was just dumb. All right. Here was the one I actually wanted. You got me thinking a lot right now. You're making me consider again making some really radical moves in my life. Well, okay then. You know, um, we'll come back to that. Luke says, Sounds like she could still sue for money, though, if he didn't tell her the whole time they were married. Also, if they lived together for long enough, could be common law marriage. See, the thing is, I think once you get a divorce, even if you move back in, I don't know that common law applies. Now, I don't know that it doesn't, but I don't know that it does either. So I don't know. Um, is pretty crazy though. It is. So coming back to Ticky Tack's question here, that's a wicked moniker, by the way. I don't know if you know that. Um, so that's pretty cool. Um, I feel like that we have quite a bit of. Um, I feel like we have in life. I think we have a lot. So one of the things I don't think people really realize is we have a lot of time. We have a lot of time, and a lot of that time is wasted. We spend it. I mean, spend we spend time, but we don't necessarily get anything for that. We'll spend time playing video games. We'll spend time, out doing stuff that doesn't necessarily help us better ourselves. And there's more to life than work, obviously. Um, you know, I think that most of the time was men. I think most of the time you need to be at least attempting to better yourself, right? Like you need to at least try. You need to um, read. You need to study. You need to think about things. If you need to go, if you need to go uh, through some training, maybe you just need to go on a backpacking trip to get your shit straight and get your mind right. I don't know. Men are weird, and women are weirder. So if you think that you're messed up and you're dating somebody, they're probably even more messed up. Um, and we talk a lot about, um, men's stuff here, but women are just as messed up, really. I mean, when you know, sorry, I've got to reposition the microphone. When when we come right down to it, at the end of the day, what are we really talking about? We just want to be happy. We want to have reasonably good lives. We want to enjoy the life that we have, and how we spend it, our time, and how we spend our time. And that's hard now, you know. Um, and it's getting harder because at the end of we have so many people with such large platforms telling everyone how to do everything, whether it makes any sense or not. And what's really interesting is that all of the people, not all, a lot of the people who run around telling everyone to be this or that or whatever, they're probably miserable, right? Like they're probably not really happy. Um, and they make everybody else miserable. And somehow making everybody else miserable makes them feel better about being themselves, and that kind of doesn't make sense to me, but it probably makes sense to somebody. So, um, it's end of the day, who knows? Yeah. Not a lot of comments coming in tonight, but that's okay. Um, been a long week, guys. It's been a really long week since I was I didn't stream Wednesday, which is weird, and I streamed last night on somebody else's channel, which was also a little weird, but not too bad. And now I've got got a lot of background noise. Let me throw this up there. Let me show that for my story is deep. Lots of wild adventures that would be difficult to fully explain in text. Most men do have that. A high level premise: I'm going to try and start racing motorcycles again, but smarter approach this time. Okay. I mean, if you look at it as a business and as a career, I think, anything can be a business or a career. If you're going to do, um, if you're going to race motorcycles, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and this is actually, I mean, we can talk about this. So for the most part, I don't care what kind of racing you're talking about. Everybody's good at it. Everybody that you're going to meet doing it is good at it. Everybody knows how, I mean, they're just as fast, on the same equipment. Um, so then it comes down to equipment and being able to do business. And the number one thing that we told everyone every single year of my career, right? Like when I was out there, and we would talk to drivers, and sorry guys, getting a little interference here. Sorry about that. The number one thing that we would talk about with basically everything is drivers are easy to find. You know, fast people. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to be fast, really. I mean, it takes some skill, takes some learning, takes some equipment. Um, and when you get that's the right word. If you want to be pro, you're going to have to develop a sense of business to the point where you can talk to people on a pretty high level about how and why they should give you money. And like I know a team that did a deal with GoPro, right? So GoPro would not give money. Okay. So what happened is these um, guys talked to GoPro and said, "Look, we'd love, you're not in racing, you're not in our series. We would love to represent you. What can we do? What do you need? What's going on? How can we, what can we do that is of value to you so you'll give us, some budget?" And that's really kind of the way it always has to work. And we might as well make this the financial section tonight. So we'll do this. So if you're going to ask somebody for money, there's got to be something that they're receiving for that money in every case. The idea of sponsorship is retarded. And anybody that one of the ways that a prospective um, business partner in racing, one of the first disqualifiers is if you walk up and start talking about sponsorship. And the reason for that is it's not a sponsorship. You're a marketing partner or you're a business partner. You're a partner in something, but they're not giving you something for nothing, and they're not giving you money to put a sticker on your bike or your car or your Jeep or whatever. That's not how that works, unless your name is Ray Hall, and then that might work that way. But in general, it doesn't. Now, there's a lot of different forms that this business can happen. Okay, the number one way that I like is the VIP event, right? And that's where you make some contacts in the corporate world, and you are able to. Well, first of all, you got to make some. You have to start being able to network. And you can't network with your buddies down at the bar. You're going to have to learn how to go to events and meet people and talk to them about all kinds of things that you probably don't care about, but that are really important to them. So, for example, let's just take J.P. Morgan Chase, huge bank, lots of money. You go to them and ask them to be a sponsor, they're going to laugh you. I mean, literally, security will remove you before you've been in place for 5 minutes. Like, you will not. If you actually make it into an office, I would be shocked. However, if you send them a really nice email and say, "Hey, we would like to work with you. We really, we've seen some of the stuff you guys do. What do you need?" Especially if you can get an in and talk to whoever's in our marketing department, or there's a couple of different things. that I'm not going to bother. Well, I'll go into it maybe later, but if you go out and you talk to somebody, yeah, well, pardon me. Let me back up. Let's say you go to J.P. Morgan Chase and you say, "What do you need?" You talk to their. Usually, that person's going to be like the CFO or COO, something like that. It's good. There's going to be a C and an O in the name or in his title. And what he's going to do is, or she is, they're going to have some goal that they need to set. So let's just take like the VIP event, right? So it's harder to do with bikes probably. Cars is pretty easy. That's you invite everybody out, you get a pro driver to drive them around in the race car for a day, they pay you a bunch of money. You have hospitality, you do that kind of thing, and then it becomes and again they pay you for it. And so at that point, you're basically an entertainer, you're an entertainment service. And this is actually a really good program because a lot of high-end corporate entities, they don't really have a good way of rewarding their top producers or top sellers because these guys already make, huge bonuses, right? They can't give them any more cash and taxes or hit them and all kinds of things. The guys don't want more stock. They've had a lot of, they go to Hawaii and Barbados whenever they want to anyway, so giving them a trip doesn't help. So being able to give their like top 4 account execs a VIP track day experience with pro drivers is great, especially since most of them have like Ferraris and stuff that they want to drive anyway. And so that's a really great time. The second method is networking and doing B2B deals. And so I was actually working a deal with this company called, I'm not going to say the name of the company, but they were a very large ambulance service. And they wanted to work with us. And basically what they wanted to do is they had 2 line items in their budget for the following year that they wanted to get rid of or to reduce. One was tires and one was batteries. And their spend on tires for a year was something like $2.2 million, and the batteries was like $750,000 in batteries. So what they wanted us to do was to go back because the series had a tire and a battery sponsor, and they wanted to, if any money that we saved, they wanted a 5-year contract, and any money that we were able to save them off of their spend was ours. Okay. So if we got them 5% off, that 5% for 2 years was ours, right? So, and 5% of, $2 million, pretty good deal, right? So we failed in that because Pirelli, who was the tire manufacturer for the series, did not import the right tire for that their ambulances used, but we were really close on that. And then the other side of that, the batteries, they were using Optima batteries already, which we had to deal with Optima, but Optima would not sell directly to the ambulance company because the ambulance company had a deal with AutoZone, who sold Optima batteries. So Optima was not going to disrupt the contract with AutoZone to help us out. So we missed out on that deal, but that deal would have been good for a couple $100,000. And that's, conservatively actually. So that, so that's another method of funding that. And then the kind of the last one is, and this is really great. And I think it's really more common today than you probably think it is. But so there was a deal with so I had a deal with GoPro going, and it ended up being another team that got it. But the deal with GoPro was really good. but it all stems from this idea that you can do not coupons exactly, but like it's kind of the discount code model, right? But um, you have to understand that when you're doing B2B deals or deals like that in racing to fund your endeavor, what you're really trying to do is you're a broker at that point. And you need to you're fine you have somebody that wants something and you're trying to make that happen. But in this case, what GoPro wanted, so GoPro would not give any money, and which is a common occurrence, right? Like they're just not going to come up with, they're just not going to write a check for 200 grand or whatever it is. They're just not going to do it. So, but what they did is, I think they were launching, I think like the Hero 3, or I think it was a Hero 3 back then. And this team was like, well, we'd like to get in on that. Let's, we'll do up the car and just um, give us a little budget, help us out. And they and basically GoPro said no, we don't give anybody any money, which is a common thing, and we're not going to help anybody out. But what we can do is we can um, give you a we'll work this deal with you, right? So what we'll do is we'll give you the ability to sell this coupon for is $100. I think it's $100 off the camera, right? And um, this is something they did back in when did they do it? This is something they did. They got this from a NASCAR team where they had I think it was the Sprite car, the Dr. Pepper car. I forget which one it was, but they funded that entire program off of 50-cent coupons where you could go buy a soda. You could only get the coupons from the race team first out. So then what they would do is they would give these, the race team would hand these coupons out everywhere they went. And they put them in like Kroger's and everywhere. And every coupon that was collected, the race team got that 50 cents. And nobody's not going to go buy a Coke for 50 cents, even though it was only $1 back then or whatever. But there's no way anybody's not going to do that, right? So every one of these things got cashed in. So they literally funded a $3 million race program on 50-cent Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper, or whatever the hell it was. So I thought that was, and so this GoPro program was based on the same thing. They allowed the team to, what they did is they set up a web page, an order funnel, right? A funnel that when you bought when you click the code, there was a QR code, a link on the web page. They had a handout. They had like an actual physical paper coupon that they handed out. If you did any of that, you got to buy the newest release of the GoPro, which I think was GoPro 3, for $100 off, which I think at that time, I think the camera was like $380 and you could buy it for like $200 or $220, something like that. I think it was $200. You got a pretty big discount on this GoPro camera, and they let them do 1,000 of them. They said, okay, we will not give you money, but we'll give you 1,000 camera. We'll give you the ability to sell 1,000 cameras, and you get to keep all the money that you sell. So if you sell 1,000, that's a lot of money. If you sell 500, that's still decent money. And so they did it, and they actually sold every single They sold that 1,000 cameras in 2 days. They went back to GoPro, the handler at the GoPro, and they said, "Hey, we sold them all." And he's like, "Okay, cool. We'll let you do another 1,500." So they did that. The team just spammed it out everywhere, and they sold now it took like a week and a half to sell the 1,500 cameras, but every dime of the like 160 or whatever this whatever the saving was. It or was it the same? But anyway, like every dime that they collected, ended up being I want to say they made like almost $500,000 off these cameras. Maybe not that much. I forget how much it was, but it was crazy. And they didn't do any. They never even touched the cameras. Like GoPro was doing all this, and so I think it was the following year at SEMA. GoPro actually came on as a sponsor for the series because of the response that one program had had. So they actually came on, and for like 2 years they were a sponsor of the series, 2 or 3 years. I happened to be standing there when the team owner from the team that had done the GoPro, the first promotion, I happened to be standing there when they were talking about it, and because I kind of wanted to know too. And the guy's like, "Hey, why did why did you let us keep all that money?" Yeah, so that's what it was. So they got to sell 1,000 cameras, and they got to keep the money from the sale. So it was like $220 or $250 per camera. It was $100 off of whatever the launch price was, which I think it was like 350 or whatever. And so every dime from every camera that they sold went into an account, and that was their money. And so if they sold 100 cameras, they made 200 a quarter, 250, whatever it was each. So when, again, the following year at PRI or SEMA, I happened to be standing there because I was kind of curious about the whole deal too. And the team owner was like, "Hey, I got to ask, why did you do that? Why, it doesn't make sense that you would just give away 2,500 GoPros." And the guy from GoPro said, "We got you cheap, buddy." He's like, every single person that bought a camera had to give a real phone number, a real mailing address, and a real email. And we pay good money for those. And not only do we pay good money for those, normally when we buy an address, we don't know if that person is anything more than just has signed up for some ski school somewhere or something like that to get into the pool of candidates that GoPro markets to. In this case, they knew that they had bought a camera. And so when GoPro would launch new software or accessories or when they came out with the Hero 4, they were able to direct market to people that had already bought the Hero 3. And they knew that they bought them because they had gone through this portal to give up their information. And it was genius. And but you have to think like that in racing, especially because nobody's going to just give you money. Like the idea that somebody's going to give you money to put their sticker on the car or to paint the car up in some cool livery, that's dumb. That went out in like the 70s and 80s, man. That is no longer the case. You have to be a businessman, and you have to be a really good businessman. You have to be a very smart businessman in racing to survive. The Yeah, right. So even though they took a cut on the product, I mean, they gave the product away. I mean, they effectively gave the cameras away. But long term, they made more money. They made money they probably would not have made before. And so, and then and then they became a sponsor of the series, and it just it kind of snowballed from there. And then, of course, the thing about GoPro is that it was a limited life expectancy deal anyway, right? Because it was just a camera. It was a action camera. They were the first ones in the market. They had the best advertising, but everybody caught up with them, and people started seeing, why am I spending $400 for this thing just because it says GoPro on it when I can buy an $80 camera off of Amazon and it's the exact same thing and maybe even a little tougher. So GoPro is a limited life expectancy company. They knew it, and they just wanted to stack that money as quickly as they could before the rest of the market caught up with them. So, but again, it could be anything, man. It could be like I've heard. I wasn't involved in any of this, and I didn't actually follow it, but I heard that one guy he made a deal between his company that he worked for he made a deal with them between an industrial supply company and his company to supply all of the janitorial products at a lower price, and his company then paid him the difference, and that went directly into his racing program. And he had to put a sticker on the car or whatever, but that's fine. And again, there's all of these VIP things as well. Who was it? It was I mean, it'll come to me in just a minute. But they what was a VIP thing they did? It was really cool. Yeah, I don't remember, but so there's one deal where I was peripherally involved in where at the track they hired this girl who was at the time a social media manager for a bunch of different like drifters and drag race guys and just racing personalities. And they hired her to be the on-screen personality. And her job, so they would bring in all of these VIPs to the track, and these are guys that they don't get out of the office much, right? Like these guys are, they don't go anywhere. So, they would give their top salesmen, top buyers, top clients these fully catered weekend passes to like an IndyCar. And of course we ran with IndyCar. So a lot of this we got to see through IndyCar. And so these so this team took a page from IndyCar, and so these these company guys, I don't remember what they did, but these corporate dudes would come out, they would get picked up at the airport or wherever at their hotel, driven to the track, and then they just rent a Suburban, bring them to the track, and then they had Victoria and a camera guy, and whatever those dudes wanted to do, they could do it, right? So if they wanted to go meet, and they had a deal like during quiet time, they would go through the IndyCar paddock, and they could get all the IndyCar drivers autographs, or at least try. And get pictures with them and all of that. And they actually had a driver that was known in the IndyCar paddock, so he knew a bunch of the other drivers and could facilitate that. And then if they had a couple of golf carts, so if they wanted to go to different points on the track and watch the race and get pictures or something, they could do that. And this whole thing's being videotaped as a promotion reel for the company as well. And it was really good. I mean, it was really, really good. And I don't know how much I got paid for it, but it was probably a lot. And you just can't downplay that, right? Like there's intangibles if you're going to try and do that, that I've watched for years. And so before you start thinking about, I mean, I don't know very much about motorcycle racing. I'm assuming that it's way cheaper than car racing. Just is. But the end of day is that if it costs money, it costs money, and you're going to have to get money. So the first thing to do is become that business person, that marketing guy, and understand how to make this stuff work. Because if you don't, you're probably going to fail, and you're probably not going to do very well, and it's going to be a real problem. And money's important. Mr. E, I saw you there, man. I'm sorry I didn't say hi, but I was in the middle of a tear there. So, yep, there's Mr. E, everybody, from the Andrew Wilson show. He is the operational manager, I think. He's a high up. He's a muckety muck. So everybody say hi to Mr. E. And so, yeah. I mean, everything's business, man. You can't get away from it. Literally everything. It's all business. It's the same thing I deal with every day with the contractors here, built, doing my sunroom. It's just the way it is. You just have to be willing to put in the effort to learn. And if you're not willing to put that effort in to learn, you better know somebody that has, or you're gonna run out of money and you're not gonna be able to do very well. So yeah, I don't know if that helped you. Did that help you? I feel like I didn't help you very much. So it's a little different, right? A little different conversation tonight, and not very amped up, man. It's like really chill, really really cool tonight. Yeah, you have a lot to say as well. Well, type out, man. I'll read it. Type it out, or I'll put you on. You want to be on? I'll put you on. Let's see. If you got a mic, I will put you on. Let's go here. Clicky the link, bro. And you will be on. Just click the link. It's in your PMs, I think. I think I got the right one. Pretty sure. Oh, gotta hit enter. There you go. Clicky link. Clicky the link, bro. Jump right in. And there he is. You are on Donkey Kong. There you go.
Hey, let me fix my audio for one moment.
I got the volume thing going. So give me one.
All right, can you hear me now?
Well, I have the volume turned down on my end, so I'll just kick it up a notch here. That should do it.
All right, so I'm just going to lay out my thoughts on
Sure, man.
what's been going on. So previously, about 3 years ago, I ended up quitting my job as a programmer to go work at a motorcycle shop.
Okay.
And this is where I ended up meeting a really awesome guy. He's a Gen X, was a professional dirt bike racer in the 80s and 90s. Ended up learning a lot about just small engines, rebuilding them, working on motorcycles, ATVs, things like that. And I started getting into learning how to ride motorcycles, learning how to modify them. Also networked quite a bit with some of the people in the dealerships that are kind of already doing their own thing, not necessarily running racing teams, but they're working on like rebuilding suspension, rebuilding like performance engines. And you got my brain thinking to figure out like how can I tie everybody together to almost like form a team. And I know that I'm probably not the person to go and race on that motorcycle. Like, I would say I'm a little bit too ballsy, and I'll end up killing myself because it's I take things too far. But I think I am the only one who may have the business sense to figure out how to form this team. Because I have the mechanics, I have the people who could ride the motorcycles, but they're not very inept when it comes to business.
I mean, that's the missing link. That's. I mean, again, I can't even tell you how many teams I saw come and go, over and over again that had deep talent in the car, but no budget and nobody that could go get budget. And I mean, even me to a large degree, it's tough, man. It's a very tough industry, and it's exceedingly hard to make work, and you have to put the time in, and you really have to think outside of the box. I mean, there's like a whole lesson plan in how to do it. Like, especially if it's something like motors. I mean, are you talking like GP racing? Are you talking small bore dirt bikes? What are we talking here?
So it's So what was it? I know that it will probably be supermoto. Just
Okay,
because of the growing trend, and I know that's the direction that two of the dealership guys are going. So I just think it would be that niche market to hop into.
sure. And that's always a good. I mean, the safest thing is always to find the niche ish market, and you're always going to want to. Um, you're always going to want. I mean, just financially, just business wise, you're going to want the newest, coolest, greatest, largest following thing that you can get your hands on. And if you can do that, great. And if you can't, hey, man, so that's okay too. Um, I would say that if you're going to, I mean, the first thing is if you're going to assemble a team of volunteers, is what it sounds like. Nobody's going to get paid, none of that. I mean, that's really possible, right? Like, but the economics of racing are crazy, and I don't think most people really understand it because you're not if you're traveling, right? So now you've got hotel rooms, you've got transportation costs and gas and wear and tear on the vehicle and trailers and tires and fuel for the transport vehicle and food on the road and per diem cost. Because not everybody's going to want to eat the same thing or the same place, and all that stuff. So um, it's not obviously it's not insurmountable. People go racing every day. That's not the problem. The problem generically ends up being that there's nobody that can bring in money, and if you can't bring in money, you're done. And I myself have, I struggle. I mean, I had a deal where I honestly I thought it was a slam dunk. The ambulance deal I thought was like done, like it was 100% in the bag, and then it all just fell apart in the space of about a week because you know Pirelli didn't have the tire that they wanted, and they already had to deal with AutoZone to do the batteries, so we couldn't help them there. So it would have been a great deal, but it fell apart in the week. I had another deal working with a uh, company down in Texas that made like Australian meat pies or something, and I thought that was going to work out because I thought that they were going to end up doing or needing distribution, and I knew some trucking companies, and I knew like the area manager of the King Super, which is Kroger's in that area, and I was like, well, I could probably get your pies into some stores in Colorado. Plus, I know some trucking companies that would just love to pick up more business. So I thought I had something there that was going to happen, and then it never worked out. None of the numbers ever made anybody happy, so everybody just kind of went away. It all fell apart. So if if you get frustrated with that kind of thing, don't start, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Is you're going to put a lot of effort in, and it's going to be rough. I mean, um, that's why I often say that I have supreme self confidence, because I have been told no so many fucking times that it doesn't even bother me. Like I barely hear it anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
I have similar views on that. I've actually made a pretty successful career within programming. I would say 90% of the time, whenever I lose a job, a couple months later, I have a friend calling me up, like saying, like, "Hey, I got another job for you." Like, I don't even have to search anymore just because of my reputation on this. And
sure.
half of the time I'm on contract, other half of the time I go through W-2. But so I kind of already know the means of being able to put up a good impression and go through
Hmm.
on a career. Now it's about going into territory that I just don't understand.
Right.
I would say I understand it on a technical side of particularly the motorcycles, but you're getting into the side of business, and this is definitely something I haven't tackled before.
Well, I think most people haven't, right? Like most people don't think, and so the problem is people think that there's a box and there is no box. You know, you just tell yourself there's no box to think out of, and then you probably are going to do okay. Because again, you've got to be able to see something that doesn't even exist yet, right? Like for example, if I was, just if I were doing motorcycles, you know, I don't know where I would start to go try and find somebody to help back the a motorcycle team. I would probably well, I mean, obviously you would try and get whatever dealership is helping you to or repair center or whatever to provide whatever they could, in terms of service and parts and whatever. Um, and
That was
then
my thinking as well. So
yeah,
I may have a little note on that.
sure,
So part of my friend who owns the shop, uh, he knows a lot of people. He has a huge phone book of different people who deal in performance parts, doing in like rebuilds of engines. He knows a very specialized people throughout everywhere. And honestly, I would probably just start with his phone book and just start calling down that list and see what they think.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to have to do a lot of networking. You're going to have to talk to a lot of people. You're going to get told to know a lot. You're going to be told that go talk to this guy, and that guy's going to tell you to go talk to another guy, and that guy's going to tell you no, you got to talk to the guy you just talked to, and it's going to. I mean, just I'm just saying, just be prepared because there's no easy path forward in this, and it just is never going to be that way. So as much as I'd love to like tell you, man, it's a great way to spend your time. It's actually pretty frustrating, to be honest. And a lot of the conventional places that people think to look like tool companies and Home Depot or whatever, actually Home Depot might actually be a good one. A lot of times, what I like to hear if I was going to be somebody in your position, what I would want to hear from somebody is product launch, right? Like, so if a company is going to be launching a product, that means that they have extra advertising budget that they haven't allocated. You also have to really understand the idea of how that all happens to begin with. Most of the time, the when they do their yearly budget, that's when the advertising money gets spent, and if you're not on that list, you're not going to get any money. If you come in mid year, there's no money to get. So. Um, but if there's a product launch, there's usually money that's not already allocated, and you might be able to pick up some of that. So product launch, special events, things like that. That's worth talking to people about. Products coming to market that need a lot of exposure are almost always, they have pretty free advertising budgets, and they might be willing to put money into something like a supermoto team. The Where else would I kind of look? What would I do? I would do. This is it's a tough one. Supermoto's tough, man. It's a um, I mean, anywhere that honestly anywhere that I felt like that had a reasonable advertising budget that probably wasn't spending it all, and I would try and do stuff like that. I would the number one thing you need to remember is that the minute you start talking to them, what you're really doing is you're becoming an employee of theirs. So the real questions I always ask is, what do you need, and how can I do it for you? Do you need more traffic into the business? Well, maybe we can put a couple of motorcycles outside and people come look at them and think they're cool. We have a couple of a couple of riders here to talk, or whatever, to talk about them and make it all cool. And it Yeah,
So
it's a difference kind of thing, you know.
it's kind of like trying to identify what problems they may struggle with and offering them a
Hmm.
solution.
No, that's
Um,
exactly what it is. Because you become what you're really trying to do is you're trying to become an employee of that company. The minute you take a dollar, you are an employee of that company, and you have to always remember to act like one, right? So you don't do stupid things. But um, do they need help with transportation? Do they have like are they a industrial supply company that needs transportation into a new area, or are they expanding into a new market and they need I don't know, they need some kind of advertising, and maybe having a van, or trailer, having their signage on a trailer rolling through town a couple of times a week with cool motorcycles on it might be the thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing things out because that's what you really have to look for is, and it could be something that's totally unrelated to motorcycles. It could be that they're a company that needs that they're spending too much on toilet paper, and they need to find a new supplier of toilet paper, and you may know a guy, right? Like you may know somebody in industrial supply and can get them a better deal on toilet paper. I don't know. I'm just saying that you have to identify what they need, and if you can fill it or you can network to fill it and make a deal come out for yourself, then that's what you've got to do.
so what it's kind of sounding like is I need to be more of a I don't know if it's the right term, but like a marketing business.
Absolutely.
And that's strictly what the business is marketing, and the motorcycles is kind of like the avenue of entertainment. It could be a means of selling, but overall it's just kind of like the side business that runs alongside of who
So
we are.
it's a product in your product line, but it's probably not your best product.
Okay.
Right. So if you think about it as a product line, it is a product, and you can sell that to somebody. And a lot of times, like um, we were paid to go to a dealer and park our cars there over, for I think we arrived Thursday, and the cars were there Thursday and Friday, and then Friday we went to we had to be at the track to tech and everything, but um, maybe it was Wednesday and Thursday, and we were whatever it was, but it's been years, but I mean they paid us $5,000 to show up, and they actually built a big sales event around it. They literally like had all the similar cars out. They had a tent event. They were giving away hot dogs and cokes, and they had the drivers there in their driver suits, and putting kids in cars and all kinds of stuff. Man, it was great, but again, the had nothing to do with going to the racetrack. It's
Yeah.
just the yeah, I mean it's a product, but it's just a very small product, right? Like what you're really selling is your ability to make deals that you get something out of.
Yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah.
It's really got me thinking. So secondary, like this. So this is just my fantasy world kind of ideas on how I would like to turn this business into something a little bit more valuable. In a way, I'd like to, like, let's say a few years down the road, 5, 6 years down the road, turn it into actually selling my own performance products off of, it's off of off of racing motorcycles, maybe even trail into like rally racing or things of that
Mhm.
nature. And that would be my overall objective is networking mostly with like manufacturers, engineers, and testing a lot more like experimental ideas, maybe like a new valve engine head or something like that, variable valve timing or something on a motorcycle, and we could test it out on the track. So that's the long term goal. But yeah, it's just an idea that's out there, and I'm just wondering
Yeah.
how I can shape everything to get towards that avenue.
Um,
Might be a pipe dream.
I
It really could
mean,
be.
there's a lot there. I mean, again, as far as the race team stuff goes, there won't be a lot of experimenting in racing because there's a rule set and you have to adhere to it.
Yeah.
So, doing testing work for manufacturers or um, part suppliers is, I mean, there's probably some um, there's probably something to that. I don't know with motorcycles. I don't know how much a lot, and honestly, I don't know how much they test any of that stuff. Really, they just kind of like do the math and then put it on the market. So, um, or it seems like that to me. I don't know, and it may be that there's a real market for it. I don't know. I would. It's very interesting. I have no idea. I don't know how to answer that because in automotive racing, unless you're at the top level like Formula One or you're running, and even top level GT racing, there's no development parts on those cars. Like it's an exceedingly tight rule package. And now we might do a workaround to the rules like Arrow or something like that. I mean, we could go down a long rabbit hole of how evil Dodge is, but there's I don't know about motorcycles, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
no problem.
probably. I'm going to say probably. You know, like I don't think it's out of the question. Um, the I
Yeah.
would say that
I think I might
it's
have a topic to kind of like loop this back in. So let's
sure.
just say when you were starting your own venture into starting your own racing team,
Hmm.
um, did you have to take capital out of your own pocket in order to fund it?
Yeah, so I had a shop, and that's where all that came from. So the way
Okay.
it kind of worked out for me is I went to work for a race team, and well, I went to work for a race shop in Mooresville, North Carolina, which is Race Central USA. I mean, that's where all the NASCAR shops are. I actually went to work for a Porsche shop there, and I ended up racing with them and learning a lot. And that's where I really determined that I wanted to be the absolute best at it. Like, and my personality is such that I had to be the best. Like, I didn't want to stop until I was the best, and I always went to the best race shops. When I worked for someone else, I went to the best, like bar none. And so in when I was in North Carolina, I worked with like the guy who's building the engines had built the engines for a 935 that had won at Le Mans, right? Like that's pretty fucking cool. Um, the guy who owned the shop had won a bunch of races in Porsche Club and historic racing. He'd never really done any pro racing, which I think was probably cool or better for him because he didn't waste all of his money there. But we did a ton of pro racing, and and I learned the whole business during that period of time. So generically, I tell people that are going to try and start a race team that they're probably better off taking up golf because it's just a lot less frustrating. And unless again you're willing to do stuff like that. And now I've seen people that are very successful try and start racing businesses and they do okay until they don't. And then they go out of business and the entire world burns down around them. And it's taking capital. I mean, yes, you will take capital out of your own pocket. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to start, I mean, if you're going to start a race team, um, that's crazy. I mean, that's a lot of money. Like it's way more than you would think it is. Like even with motorcycles. I mean, I don't even know how much motorcycles, racing motorcycles actually cost. I mean, I don't know if they're 10 grand or 30 grand or whatever. Um,
They're around the 10 grand part ballpark.
yeah. Okay. So if you were doing, so you do the motorcycles, and you need a trailer, then you need a truck to pull the trailer, you need a place to work out of, you need people to work on them that know what they're doing and have the time to do it. The biggest thing that I see, the biggest mistake I see people make over and over and over again is trying to start a pro race team with guys that have full-time jobs. You can't do that. I mean, you might be able to get started, but you will not be able to do it any length of time at all. There's no way you can do it. It just doesn't work because the amount of work you might with motorcycles. With cars, the amount of work it takes to field a competitive car, you live and breathe those cars. Like there's nothing else in the world. And you have two cars to take care of, and it's a 24-hour job. I mean, it's not 24 hours, but you spend 8-10 hours a day every day of the week on those cars. So,
And that's where
I'm sure
passion
it's the
comes
same
in.
thing. It's not. No, it's where your wallet comes in because you got to pay those guys.
That's
And
it,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm just being honest. Like, you can't. The idea that you can start such a venture with just pure passion is great. Yeah, that's a great idea. The reality is so far from that. It's so far. And I mean, I've watched this over and over. Now, and I mean, I've seen guys like, I mean, I can tell you like, you've probably never heard of Farnbacher Lowell's, but Farnbacher is a Porsche tuning company in Germany. They're great. They're fucking awesome. And his son, I don't remember what Farnbacher's first name is. His son, I don't remember his name either, came to the U.S. wanted to. He was going to kind of establish the company here. He got involved with this guy named Greg Lowells. Greg Lowells had a lot of money. All of his money came from a Ponzi scheme that he was selling the people in his church. That's right,
Okay.
his church. And he was supposed to be a big stockbroker, and he was all this kind of stuff, and he did all, he was such a cool guy. We raced against him. Porsche supplied a factory driver because Lowell's was literally buying. He spent enough money with Porsche to become a de facto factory team. We're talking all kinds of money. This guy had everything was brand new, everything was perfect, best of everything because it's not his money. And the whole thing burned down around his ears because, again, unless you have a solid business model, unless you're actually bringing in, people that pay for things, eventually the money runs out. And this guy and Greg Olds is probably still in jail. I mean, they put his ass in jail. So, I mean, there's a lot of examples of people trying to do what you're trying to do that tried to shortcut it, and they're literally all gone. Like they just don't last. And that's why nobody in racing, like there's a core group of people, but for the most part, nobody in racing cares who you are because you're probably not going to be there tomorrow. And that's just the way it is. Now there's a core group of people that have been there for decades, right? Like I was in for decades. And like GMG, James Safronis has been racing consecutive for probably 30 years consecutively, 25 at least. And I've been racing against him for that long, right? Until I quit. And he's still racing. He just took a win, I think, at some race this weekend. And dude's awesome, but he's also a surgeon. So,
Yeah.
Not only does he own GMG, which is I think his mom paid for, but he's a surgeon. His wife's a surgeon or a doctor too. So they're like super wealthy power couple in California that also own a world class race shop. So they're going to be okay. They've been around forever, and there are other people that have been around forever. But in all of racing, if you don't do it right, and even if you do it right, you could still disappear. The contracts could go away, whatever. but it's just that way. It's not like any other job, and nobody cares how good you are. Like that's the one thing that I think is that people find so amazing is nobody cares how much you win. Period. Nobody cares. No sponsor has ever signed the bottom line because you won a race. They do it because they're going to sell something because of something you're doing. It's usually not winning because winning is irrelevant. They don't care if they're as long as the car is on TV, as long as the car, is available for whatever VIP day or the as long as they get what they need, the check will clear. If it doesn't, it's not gonna. It's just the way it is.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's a tough gig, and there's a lot of people who inflate their egos so much, and the biggest thing is you end up tying your ego to that venture, and you won't let it die, and which is good in some aspects, but sometimes you need to just let it. You just need to I'm done. This is not working. I'm out, and mean it, like really mean it, and yeah. So it's like a real thing, man. I've watched it over and over. I honestly can't even tell you how many times I've watched it happen that way. Various people. Now, obviously, this is car racing and not bike racing, but
I think there's a lot of parallels.
Sure.
Even just on my experience going out to the tracks a few times, I would say vast majority of them are all self-funded. They're either like top engineers or doctors, or they've been pilots for like ever, and they just do this as a hobby for fun.
Right.
It's rarely you get those people who are doing it to actually build a business out of it, or what I should say, a sustainable business out of it.
Right. Well, it's hard to be a sustainable business when it's hard to be a sustainable business unless you treat it as a business. And when I first started, I really didn't. I really didn't even care about sponsors at all. And then that was a mistake on my part. That was like a serious miscalculation on my part. And I learned very late. So, the other way to do it is if you have a business that funds it, right? Like, so if you have a repair center that has enough money left over, or you own you own a lawnmower dealership, or a chain of hot dog stands, or whatever that makes so much money that it can just pay for the racing effort, then that's another way to go. But if you're going for marketing dollars, then you got a tough road, man. I'm just telling you right now. I don't want you to get any idea that I believe that there's anything easy about it, because there's nothing easy about it. Not one thing. So,
Yeah.
I hope I've been suitably upfront about it, because it's tough, man.
You've given a lot of great information, and it hasn't discouraged me. So I'm still going to do it.
Right. Yeah. And that's good, man. The reality, last night's show was all about delusion and reality, and reality is a really important thing when you're doing it. So you have to be so upfront with yourself, so real. And most people don't do that. They never do that. They just absolutely are. They just don't care. They just don't know, and they don't want to know. So
they want the easy way out.
The easy way out. That's right. That's right. And and choosing a tough road is, there's a reason it's a tough road. There's a reason it's hard. So I think we've chased everybody off. Nobody's even commenting now.
Or they're intently listening.
Or they're intently listening. Now that they're like, oh, this is dumb. So that's okay.
Well, that's fine. I definitely appreciate your time.
Oh, no problem, man. Oh, Flan's there. Flan, did you learn anything tonight? See, Flan could be your sponsor. Flan needs to invest in something.
Yes, invest in me. Contact me on Discord, TikiTech23.
Yeah, he needs to invest in something that's going to pay him a lot of money. So,
All right.
so
Yeah, I won't hold you up anymore. I
oh,
definitely
you're not
appreciate
holding
the
me
chat.
up, man. I'm having a good time with it. So it's all right. So good times.
I'll have plenty more things to talk about. I'll hop on whenever.
Sure, man. That sounds good. Maybe I'll invest, man. We'll see. Yeah, Flan's your man. Flan is your man. All right. Well, good, man. Good talking to you. I'll pop you out of here, and you can rejoin the chat or whatever.
Yep. Have a good night.
Have fun. All right. Bye. All right. Well, that was fun. That was a good time. Probably boring to 90% of the 3 people that were watching when all that happened. That's okay. The seems like a typical Friday night, and yeah, so it's pretty cool stuff. Jess, are you out there? I didn't see Jess. She has not said anything. All right. What else can we talk about tonight? Might ought to end this one early. Maybe it's just a nice, slow night. It's been very relaxing. All right. Yeah, I forgot. There's Friday nights pretty popular. I might. I actually like doing Friday nights, but maybe I ought to go back to like Thursday nights. But that's when other people do theirs. There's always competition. So, but yeah. So let's see what else. I mean, that was a really good talk about the whole business side of that. I mean, I don't think most people even think there is a business side to it. You just you win a few races and you get a nice fat deal, which is not how it works. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. I don't know what else to really kind of dig into. Anybody got any burning issues they'd like to talk about? Flam, buddy, don't worry about the typos, man. I'm like the world's worst typist. You're all good, man. So you're all good. Anybody got any burning issues they want to talk about? Any hot news that I didn't cover? Jess, you missed out on a lot. I'm sorry. You're late again. It's okay. It's okay. I do think the light and everything is better. I mean, I think when I get it down, it'll be really good. I think that it's just coming together. I got a lot of input from the guys over there on Andrew's stream, and the number one complaint they had was the production quality, the light, and everything. So I tried to change it up. So it's good. Flan, I'm glad you liked the setup, man. Good to know. Good to know. All right. So nobody's got any like burning questions, no life topics they feel like need answered. Because I'm I'm kind of done. Kind of stick a fork in me. Maybe not. Flan, you like the setup? Hey, so this is actually Flan. You'll love this. Whoa, that's gonna fall. Set that down. Oh. Man, this is this is my helmet, man. Oh, it's my helmet, man. Look at that. There. That got my helmet. Yeah, there you go. Got my helmet. Yeah, that's actually got all the comms and everything. So yeah, pretty decent. It's actually a bump helmet. I'm using it when I finish my airplane and test fly it. I would like a helmet because I value my noggin in case I bump my head, have a hard landing or something. So I do need some nods attached to it. That's right. It's spoken like a true Call of Duty warrior. So that's pretty good. Jess, what do you think about Spectre? Like dating after he told us a couple of weeks ago that he didn't want to date anybody. What's that all about? He was happily single, right? That's what he said. Yeah, Flan, being a pilot's a cool gig. If I was a young man in my, I don't know, 30s or something, I'd go be a commercial pilot and you can make really good money, and it's a pretty nice living. Honestly, it's not bad. Yep, it's good times. Good times. What are we talking about? Everyone ditches their plan A for chemistry and attraction. That's right. That is right, Jess. Flan, I tell you what, you could, buddy. You absolutely could. Even with the DEI stuff, I mean, there's such a need for pilots right now. You should 100% look into it. And actually, um, you could do like a 6-month program and come out and walk right into a really cool job. So even though you are Canadian, it's okay. Nobody holds that against you, especially not me. So spec is not the exception. That's true. So it's just interesting, how people talk about. So it is actually interesting because I have another friend of mine, buddy of mine named Eugene. I can actually pronounce his actual name because he's Ukrainian, and he's been over here since he was a teenager, right? Like he's been over a long time, and he he's been a he's been like dedicatedly single forever, and he's been very secretive the last few months. Actually, he actually told me, I think this time last year, he was like, yeah, kind of gave up. He's a um, dedicated bachelor now. He wasn't gonna, he pretty much given up any hope of finding Mrs. Right or whatever, or even Mrs. Right now for that matter. And he was really just going to kind of concentrate on himself. And then, like the past 4 weeks, past 4 or 5 weeks. Well, Is it on now? All right, great. Cool. Yeah, I keep pushing that button. It's right there. When I move it, I hit the button and that's it. So, and yeah. So, it's just a different mic. I don't normally have to move it around this much, but yeah, it is what it is. Um let me go back to what was being talked about. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, Flan, go be a pilot, dude. You should do that. You're the right guy. I bet you can do that easy. And Strana, you don't ruin his dream, man. Don't kill his dream. He can be a pilot. Um, and Jess, so Spec, yeah, he I mean he's he seems like he's kind of being happy or whatever. So you know the to be honest, we I kind of thought maybe it was you. I thought maybe you were the new flame, but I guess not. Um, and yeah, yeah, good times, good times. All right, I don't know if I really want to dive into like whole new topic or anything. I mean, I could. What we got what have I got on the whiteboard? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I hear you. I hear you, Jess. I just don't believe you. All right, let's see. So we did the video reaction. We should do that again for Jess, though. I don't know. What do you think, guys? Should we do it again for Jess? Give us the topics and you'll pick one. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I'm going to play the video and then I'll think about some topics. Let me play the video again. So let me tee this up for you, Jess. Let me tee this up for you.
Girl 20 years ago. And this is because 4 months after their marriage, the couple went to the Dominican Republic for a vacation. And Gabriel divorced her there because that's the only country where one party can file for divorce without informing the other party. And he says that he did this because he knew that Christina would divorce him and try to take all his money.
Gotcha. Dominican Republic.
Hey, I bet there's going to be a lot of men booking trips to the DR after watching this video. Look, I'm not going to say what that man did was right because it wasn't. It wasn't fair to that young lady who didn't know the rules. He basically tricked her, hoodwinked her, bamboozled her. And that's never fair when someone does that to you. But that was good. That was pretty good. That was pretty damn good. And I ain't gonna lie to you, if I was older like that man in that picture, that's probably a good idea. And don't get mad at that man because we all know why that girl married him.
You know why I'm here. You know why I'm here. They know why I'm here. Y'all know why I'm here.
This is the craziest divorce of all time, and the internet can't decide who to support. Back in 1994, Gabriel met Christina at a party and they really hit it off. They ended up getting married even though she was 30 years younger than him. They were happily married for 20 years, but one day Christina decided that she wanted to get a divorce. But when she went to her lawyer, she was shocked to hear that she was already divorced from Gabriel 20 years ago. And this is because 4 months after their marriage, the couple went to the Dominican Republic for a vacation. And Gabriel divorced her there because that's the only country where one party can file for divorce without informing the other party. And he says that he did this because he knew that Christina would divorce him and try to take all his money.
Gotcha. Dominican.
All right. I'm waiting for the storm. Jess, you there? This will be good. You know who we really need is Annie in here. Boy, she would just flip. That is funny. Right? Pretty funny. I think it's funny. Oh, come on now. It's not horrible. It's not horrible. That's preventative maintenance. It is. I mean, it's preventative maintenance. You know, he could look ahead and see what was going to. That I mean, you just knew that. You just knew it was going to happen. You know, he just did unto her before she did unto him. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and she wanted that golden parachute at the end. So, and I'm sure he probably gave her something, you know? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. It's a rough one. It is rough, Jess. I'll give you it's rough. I don't know. Glad I don't have to make the decision. So, all she had to do was stay married. That's all. All she had to do was stay married. So, Jess, I'm going to take exception with this. Okay, so yes, she did, but all she had to do was stay married. All she had to do. That was just preventative maintenance. I mean, he didn't like leave her. He just did it as before she could. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's a weird thing to do. I will give you that. But I mean, why leave him after 20 years? Other than, take a golden parachute, start taking some trips to, all over the world, things like that. I don't know. Well, I think, all right, hang on. Let's do this one. So here's the thing. He was 30 years older than she was. I mean, he's already old, probably, I don't know. He's cheating at 80. Come on. That's I don't know. All right, I'm going to throw this up there. Did he cheat at 80, Jess? Or 90 or whatever he was? He was 30 years older than she was. She was what, like 20? So he's 70 years old. He's cheating on her at 70. Could happen. Could happen. Maybe, I don't know. So she's 40, he's 70. 40 is pretty young, Jess. Especially if you bail out with a bunch of money. What was that? Anna Nicole Smith, ring a bell? That's actually, that's probably the thing. Yeah. Remember Anna Nicole Smith? That's right. That's probably why he bailed. That is right. Anna Nicole Smith. That's right. She's 40. He's 70 or 80. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I can't call this one, to be honest with you. I on the one hand, I think it, he probably looked and saw what was happening with the whole Anna Nicole Smith thing and a bunch of the Playboy Bunny stuff that was going on back then. And he's like, yeah, you know what? This isn't going to be me. Just not going to be me. And he punched out. Kind of a weird thing to do. I mean, and you know what? Who thinks of that, right? Like, who really thinks of that? It's pretty bad. So, guys, this has not been the best stream for me. I'm a little distracted. I've been dealing with all of this. The technical difficulties kind of put me off my game. So I'm glad you guys stayed with me all night, or all stream, not all night. But yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I am channeling my inner Brian tonight. I am. But I'll lock it down. I will lock it back down. I do like the way the lighting changes have helped. I do like it better. So that's good. Yeah, this is worth putting up there. That's depressingly true, Jess. Thank you for bringing that up. I really appreciate that. That is absolutely depressingly true. I don't even know where to go with that. Like it's terrible, but it happens all the time. It's really an interesting dynamic, right? Like they're supposed to be taking care of these people and they're not I mean, I guess they do, but they take full advantage of them, right? It's terrible. It's terrible. I'm pretty sure that that's pretty bad, Flan. It's but I will I'll send you a picture. I'll throw it up in Discord sometime. So, no big deal. I will throw that up in Discord where nobody cares and I don't run any risk of getting like kicked out of here. So, yeah. Yeah. Got a whole case of them out there, so it just happens to be sitting there. I don't know why. I probably need to fix it or something. I don't know. I think Jess is mad at me now. That's okay. It's okay. This stream has been just scuffed, right? Like this is terrible, right? I mean, I've been hitting the mic button, turning it on and off, and then just chasing myself down. I've been mostly sound issues tonight, which I never actually have sound issues. So I'm glad I figured out all of them in one stream. So that's good. Camera issues are, no camera issues. No, I put up a bigger monitor so I don't have to use my reading glasses. What are we doing about all these masculine, aggressive, argumentative women? Ooh, all right. I'm gonna have to I need a glass of water for that one. I may have to do a be right back screen, pull a Brian. Let's see. Are you thinking of anyone in particular, Jess, or are you just talking about in general? Because it really does seem like that there's a dynamic out there right now. The original. You know what, Jess? I'm gonna get a water. I will be right back. I don't have my be right back screen up, but you guys just chill a second. Look at my wall. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. I had to get some water for this one. I'm gonna go dry. All right, here we go. some women have been targeting me a little bit and picking fights, maybe. Huh. Interesting. Are you talking about like Annie and Allie and those? Are we talking about people in the Discord chat? Or are we talking about people on the stream? What are we talking here? I'm a little lost on this, but I can say a lot about. There are a lot of aggressive masculine women out there right now that really seem to pick fights with other women just for the heck of it, right? Um, and I think this has been a thing for the last like 10 years, really. I think that it's coming to a head now because we notice it more and we think about it more. And there's um, there's a lot more of them. So can you help me out, Jess? Tell me what we're talking about here. Are we talking about specific ones or are we just talking globally? That's Kath, okay. I would know because I had to block Kath because Kath is toxic and I just can't deal with it. Well, I mean, I can. I just choose not to because I'll say something that I really mean and it gets hurtful and it's just not good. So, all right. All right. So here's the thing. I don't know about what goes on in Discord, and I don't. And here's the thing: I think that people can port themselves completely different behind the anonymity of a chat room. It's absolutely terrible, and it's been that way for like 30 years. So this actually is an interesting thing because my wife asked me the other night how many people I had on my Facebook, and I have like 1,000 because I don't know why, but I do. And I think that's the maximum that I could have at one point because I'm a private. I have a private. I mean, just a normal human. I don't have a business page or a hero page or a sports figure page or anything like that. It's just it's just a standard page, and I've had to delete people to add more occasionally. So I know, and I know most of the people that I'm talking to on Facebook, and every now and again one will slip through. But in Discord, for example, and chat rooms, there's this anonymity that gives certain people a kind of a feeling of power, whether it's real or not. I don't know. I don't care. But they do. They have this feeling of power, and they feel like that they can really say whatever they want to say and be mean to people, and it has no consequence. That's right. Anonymity emboldens them. Yes, Flan Life, that is true. Also true. This is a liquid death. Bury it alive, and I like them. They're good. And so I'm just going to roll on. And this it's an interesting thing on in chat, but even more so in person. I've noticed that the very most of the I don't actually deal with people that much day to day anymore. I used to, and I guess I do. I just don't deal with a specific type of people much anymore. So the look, guys, there's a thing here, right? So there's a whole bunch of women out there that feel like that they can do whatever they want to do and they can be whatever they want to be and they can talk to whoever however they want to talk to them, and that's it. And they and that's what they're going to do. They don't care. They'll just say whatever they want to say. They'll do whatever they want to do. They will make fun of you. They will treat you however they want to treat you, and it's bad, man. It's just bad. And I mean, I guess we, to some degree, we call them Karens, right? But there's some that are worse than Karens. There are some that are, basically bullies that hide behind a shroud of femininity, but they're really, truly masculine. And they get into their masculine self, and then that's it. They bully other women, they degrade them, and they obviously they also degrade men as well. And it's harder to bully a man, I think. Maybe. What do you guys think? Any feedback on that? I feel like that I'm pretty much in the right there. I also believe that it's very easy to be kind of zero tolerance online. And by that I mean to talk about how great you are at something or how you have this standard. But because we don't know who you are, because we don't know your real record or the real way you think, because we don't know you, we can't judge how true that is. So somebody can say, and this is something that I find very interesting, that you'll have people that say things that are 180 degrees from the reality that they are. So one of the things that I've always said, you could go back to like 99, 2000, when I was on the very first chat boards. I mean, I go back to the blues and yellows, baby. I mean, I'm old school. I've been chat rooms and bulletin boards and all of that for decades. You guys are newbies. But one thing that's stayed the same is that people who are not who they say they are, whether they act like a whore when they're not, or they are a whore and they act like like they're pure and innocent and virginal, or they're somewhere in between, or they act like a badass, or they act like whatever. And if you have some experience in dealing with people online, it's pretty easy to figure out, honestly, because there are just some things they won't do. So I don't take people very seriously if they're not real about things and consistent. Now, me myself, I personally 100% say that I am who I am. I'm exactly what I say I am. There's no difference between what I say here and what I would say if you were sitting here and what you would see me do in my daily life. There just isn't any difference in that. And that's the way I choose to comport myself. And I mean, it's not wrong to have an online persona that is different than how you really are in person. There's a lot of people that are major league famous on YouTube or whatever that are not the way they are when the camera's on. I'm just saying that for me, I am exactly the way I am when the camera's on, and it doesn't change when the camera turns off. If anything, I'm a little more low key right now than I am really. So it's very interesting to me that someone who is probably bullied in person or is very quiet or very shy becomes a kind of a bully or loudmouth online. I find that interesting. It's not wrong, or it's not. I mean, who cares? It's online. The only time it matters is when you start forming relationships and friendships based around that persona and you're not honest about it. And that's the big thing, right? You need to be honest. We always talk about this. I always talk about this. Jess, I disagree with you. I rarely have miscommunications because I make it very clear what I intend to say and how I intend to say it. And if I think there might be a miscommunication, I 100% make I clarify it. And I'm not particularly smart. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. Right? Emoji. There we go. That's perfect. Emojis allow to show tone. Right. Yeah. But I don't agree with that. I don't agree with you, Jess. I just think that generically the miscommunications are not miscommunications. They actually meant what you thought they meant, and then they fib to cover that they meant that. Does that make sense? Maybe. I don't know. This is all interesting. This is actually really an interesting talk because I block those people or I call them out on it. Now, this is my personality. It may not be yours, but I 100% call people out on what they say all the time and why they say it. I have mellowed in the recent years. I've mellowed out a lot in the more recent years, and I don't get into online arguments or fights. And here's my real take on this, Jess. And I think that you really, I feel like that everybody needs to step back and look at anything that you're doing in a chat room, even for like the chat room I have set up to support this channel, right? You can't take it seriously. It needs to be a happy place where you just go and you have some fun and you just ask how people's days are, and then you go on with your actual real life. And it's and that's all that's good for. If you try and make chat too real, you end up just chasing around in circles, and because it's not real. The You can kind of make it real, but for most people it's not. Most people are not, they're not being their true selves. That said, some are. I am. I believe others are. But I recommend not to take it too seriously. And anybody that's going to go out of their way to be a dick, you probably don't want to deal with them anyway. I mean, why would you do that? Why suffer that brain aneurysm to deal with somebody that just wants to argue? Like I don't. There's absolutely no way. There's no realm in which I want to argue with somebody enough um, to to. There's no way I want to argue with somebody enough to put up put up such an effort. Um, so Flan, buddy, I get that. Actually, I understand that. Um, it's actually really hard, I think, when everybody else is acting happy and you're just not. When you're having something, you're going through something, or maybe even really need to talk to somebody in a very serious way, and everybody's being a bunch of asses. That can be tough, man. And especially if you kind of view those people as comrades or friends or colleagues or whatever. That's y- I mean, we all have insecurities, man. We do. We all have things that pull us out of our comfort zone and make us it's a little different, but it's good stuff. And look, look, guys, I'm telling you, that this getting wrapped around the axle about um, chat in general is just a bad idea. It's just not that good. Um, I really, I really don't think that's. I mean, it's just not a good idea. Just don't do it. Just, just relax. It's cool. You will be okay. So I don't know that this is going. Yeah, this needs to be put up. You are a Chad. You know what, Flan? You kind of are, dude. To be honest, and you know, let me get rid of these. Um, Flan, you're a good dude, and I've talked to you enough to know that you mean well. I mean, you guys, look, we all have our issues in life, but you're a good dude. I feel like you've had some things go on that you need to kind of push yourself past. And I think you've got some stress on you, man. I think you've got some stress on you that you're probably not dealing with. And I feel like you need to settle down. You need to understand that you're a good dude, and there's nothing wrong with being a little stressed out sometimes, or being a little bit nervous, concerned, even. Yeah, just I mean, I guess I thought we were kind of going to go with some of the girls that act feminine but yet are really into their masculine in person, or on um, YouTube or whatever. With debates, contrarian arguments just piss me off. Oh, yeah. So here's the thing: there's way too much damn arguing in the chat to begin with. Why? What is that? You know, like I'll start an argument every once in a while just because I want to entertain myself, but it's more of a discussion. It's not. I'm not trying to win. I watched um, Josh or Luke and Spectre go at it for like 30 minutes today. I mean, neither one of them actually made any sense. So I don't know. Um, I'm just going to tell you that I don't. I don't actually come. So I come to the Discord to talk about either my show or Brian's show or Andrew's show or something I saw on the show or something that's in current events. Um, you know, I I mean, obviously, I don't mind sharing. I don't mind, and I do enjoy checking up on the people in the chat. However, I don't come there to debate serious topics. That's not what I come there to do. So I don't have an answer for that because I remove myself from it, and I honestly think everybody should, unless you want to be involved in the argument and the discussion, then don't get involved. So, I mean, devil's advocate is fine. I play devil's advocate sometimes, but I always announce that I'm playing devil's advocate. You know, to play devil's advocate and just be that guy. If you're wondering why I'm always looking over here, it's because I have a monitor set up so I can actually read what's going on. I am nearsighted, so I can't read my computer monitor that's right in front of me, but I can read the monitor that's 4 feet away. So, is that nearsighted, farsighted? I think it's nearsighted. I'm old. I've got old eyes. I'm gonna bore some people to death here. All right, that's enough dead air of that. So, let's see what other good topics I got going on here. What am I doing? There we go. That's what I'm doing. I got really quiet in there. All right, so let me think here. Man, we're 3 hours in. I really hate to start something like major. I kind of want to though, because I feel low energy in the room. Top 5 mental health red flags for potential man. Okay, so that's easy. Narcissism, I think, is not just a red flag. That's actually like a deal breaker most of the time. If you have the personality that can deal with the narcissist that you're involved with, great. If you can't, you're in trouble. That's number one. Being overly needy, and that can come with narcissism, or it can just be codependency. It could be all of those different things. But if you are really a needy person, if you're really to the point where you can't, you just mentally can't not be with somebody, then that's a problem, right? Like, can't do that. Let's see. So that's two. Third one, narcissism, needy, dishonesty is, I believe, I mean, it's not really a mental health issue, but I don't like dishonesty at all. I mean, codependency. I don't like codependency. I don't like you know I don't know. That's a good question. So SSRIs. So here's my viewpoint. Hot take maybe. We take too damn many drugs. There, we've gotten to the point now where most of the drugs that we give to people, we don't even actually understand the side effects for. And I always thought it was funny. Like there was this like Zoloft or something like that commercial that that literally says that they do not know the side effects and it can cause suicidal thoughts. Why would you give that to someone? I mean, how does that really help? It doesn't. It doesn't at all. Um, anxiety, mental issues, or hormone issues. So, anxiety issues, I think. Oh, I see. You're talking to Flan. Okay, so I just think that all of that is. I think it's all nuts, and this is coming because I've watched people my whole life. So when I was growing up, it was almost cool to be on Ritalin, right, or have to take drugs every day of some kind. It was almost like cool. It was almost like you're in the hip club. You're one of the good guys or whatever. And from there we've just gone completely stupid with drugs. And I'm pretty anti medication to begin with, right? Like you have to tell me what it's going to do, right? Like you can't just say, "Well, we think it's going to do this or we think it's going to do that." You have to say, cuz like I understand if I put, if I put alcohol on something, great, you know. Um I understand antibiotics. I understand all of these other things. I don't understand how, uh, you know, I really don't understand how, without having a drug that's precisely tailored to your brain chemistry, which we don't do, we're not capable of doing it. If we, I don't understand how that's supposed to work. And other than that, it works really great for this guy, but it doesn't work for the guy with the exact same issue. Um, yeah. Yeah, I actually don't. I don't take any. Matter of fact, nobody in my family takes daily medication. Nobody. And I'll put that up there because I think that's cool. Um, yeah, I don't. I 100% don't believe in that stuff. And I've taken a lot of crap over the years because I don't. I really don't believe at all in most drugs. I really don't. You kind of have to prove it to me, right? And especially if I'm going to take it, if I'm going to have to take it for longer than a day or maybe a week, right? Like you really have to explain it to me. I'm just not going to go with you on it just because you say so. Um, and any mind or mood altering drugs, even if they're in theory supposed to help you, even if they are prescription and a doctor prescribed them, still it's not cool. Um, so I fall into a weird club on this one. I just don't buy into. I think they're overprescribed. I think that way too many people have access to them that probably shouldn't. I don't think it's a coincidence or a mistake or um I don't think it's a randomness that almost all of the bad actors that have done really bad things have been on SSRIs, have been on mind and mood altering drugs prescribed to them by a doctor. Um, you know, so this just seems to be a problem, and we're making it worse. My personal opinion is we're making it worse. By now, we're on our second or third generation of prescribing these drugs, from Ritalin to Adderall to um, fuck, I don't even know what they're prescribing now, but we're on our third generation, and we see more and more instances, right? Yeah, modern day legal drug dealers. I mean, you're not wrong, man. And what's interesting is that the U.S. is the number one that has this problem, and I don't know. But I mean, look at the drug use anyway, right? Like, look at somebody. Okay, I'm gonna punch above my weight class here for a minute. You look at someone like Destiny, right? Destiny seems really successful, right? I mean, to most people, he's like really successful, right? Millionaire, lives in Miami, has an apartment. He had a wife. He doesn't anymore. Dude does drugs. What? You're supposed to be smart. Fucking Chad right there. That's what a Chad is right there. See that? That's a man. It's almost like there's a direct correlation between sitting on your ass and needing drugs. Ooh, Jess, bringing the heat. Yeah, I would too, actually. I I mean, I would like to see the stats on a bunch of things with SSRIs, like violent crime, um, violence against their spouse and families, just general degeneracy, stealing, you know, maybe promiscuity. What do we think about SSRIs and promiscuity, huh? What do you think about that? Again, Chad. So here's the thing: if you're active, I don't think you need any of that stuff, right? Like I think that that's you. If you're just active, it helps. Oh, killing my mic again. Got to work on my setup here, guys. That's for sure. But what do we think about women on SSRIs and promiscuity? What do you think about that? Was there any correlation? Because we know in men, or most men, it affects the brain chemistry and makes them maybe a little more violent, a little more. It reduces the inhibition to some degree, right? Strana M, that's true. That is true. One of many ways, actually. Jess, does that happen in females as well? Is that true in females as well? I don't know that that's true in females. I was just curious. I don't know if anybody knows. Lan, it's all good, buddy. We're good. We're good with that. Okay. So that's interesting. Where does the increased aggression come from, though? I mean, because it's, or maybe not, or maybe it's depression that pushes people to aggression. Do they? because it seems like they probably have a little, probably makes you depressed. This is an interesting topic. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, the big problem is that even after we have what 30, 40 years of um we have 30 or 40 years of use of these drugs, and now we're in our second or third generation of kids that have been on them, and their kids now, there's got to be some effects, right? There has to be like serious problems. And nobody, and Jess said, everybody said, and they're never going to do any studies on this because they make a lot of money off of them and they're prescribed like candy, right? Like they're probably easier to get than candy. Somebody will pay for you to get them. So, you know, yeah, not a particularly fiery podcast tonight. I'm very calm tonight, and I really didn't get into anything like super aggressive. I probably did that mostly last night. The cast last night was really good. You guys should check it out if you didn't catch it. It is on my YouTube page, so you can check it out. And so yeah. Yeah, Jared, I mean, so my understanding is that some of the SSRIs actually like reduce, and maybe it's because of the depression that it causes or the low feeling. I guess it's not really depression. You were kidnapped and held hostage last night? Okay. Were you in a Chinese fortune cookie factory? Just curious. If you're still under the influence of the kidnappers, blink twice. All right, well, you guys, that's all interesting stuff. Just just didn't do anything. Jess is too wrapped up in herself to do anything. Interesting stuff. So much more mellow podcast tonight, guys, than normal. I actually am kind of enjoying it, kind of being a little bit more chill, not really like trumpeting and burning stuff down. It's pretty nice, pretty relaxing. So I don't know that I was really able to help that fellow with his race team dreams. So that's fine. So, what do you guys think of Nala and her baptism and all of that? You think it's real? I don't necessarily think it's real. I was listening to Andrew and Pearl talk about it earlier today, and they were like dissecting the um all of it. Yeah, yeah, they definitely said there was maybe some cloud issues. So Andrew actually kind of came down on the side of that he thought it was that she intended it, that it was real, because he said that when he met her on the cast that she seemed the most genuine of any of them. Um so I don't actually have a real opinion on that very much, but it does really seem like there's um a lot of publicity, which could just be the way she does it, right? Like she could just be her personality, which I think is was Andrew's take on it too. But I'm gonna go a little bit different as on a little bit different side as well. As and I think that she means it, but only because it's not being portrayed as a serious thing. So I have a whole problem we haven't even gotten into yet. This is like a whole other show to do, but I've always had a problem with what I consider the nice guy Christians that the churches you go to church and they never talk about going to hell, they never talk about the devil, they don't ever actually talk about actual sin, they don't talk about the wages of sin, they don't talk about um, that seeking redemption at the 11th hour may not make it happen. And a lot of the central tenets of Christianity, regardless of denomination. Of course, I'm Southern Baptist, so hellfire and brimstone. Um, so I do believe that so my personal opinion is I think she is being genuine about it because the church that she is being brought into is so watered down that there's no consequence to it, right? Like it's not a real thing. It just sort of is. And so for her it's like super easy, right? Um and yeah. So yeah, so the deleting of OF I d- I'm waiting to see what happens there. I did not expect her to do it right out of the gate, but um I do kind of expect it in the near future, right? And I do believe that she wants the money. So, um, so yeah. Yeah. Well, Jared, that's a very good question. I do believe that she was represented by somebody. I don't know who. I don't know. I don't know. It's a really good question though. And you know, I don't know. That's a great question too, Strana. I'm going to put that one up. That's actually really fucking good. So again, though, my position is that I don't think that she understands what being a Christian means yet, because the church that she's joined is a church that has turned a lot of OF girls, a lot of those type of people So, um, it's it may be that when she actually gets um into a real church that talks about sin and consequence and going to hell and all of that, she might come around and she might drop out. Again, I have a real problem, and I've always had a real problem with what I considered, Sunday only Christians or nice guy Christian churches where they never talk about anything bad. They don't want to put, and they teach that God is a tolerant God, and he is not. He literally says that he is a merciful God, but his has a terrible wrath. And that's pretty clear, right? Like there's no tolerance there. If you seek mercy, you get it. That's not tolerance. If he was tolerant, there wouldn't be any need for mercy, right? That's how that works. So, if you're not being if you're not being the good guy, then you're not going to be, it's going to be terrible for you. And again, I don't think that she really understands what it is to repent. I don't think that she really understands what it is yet to be Christian. I'm hoping, beyond all hope, that there is a time in the future where that does happen. Man, I don't know. I don't know that she'll make it because again, she may never learn about true Christianity. That may never happen. Then again, she could move to Iowa tomorrow and go to a church there and find out that everything she's been taught so far is bullshit. All right. So, um, yeah, land life. I don't understand. What is all performative? I don't understand that question. I don't, I don't understand that question. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I just think that, I'll answer that if you can make that a little more clear. But, oh, the baptism. We don't know, do we? I mean, we don't because as far as we know, it is just performative because she may not have a true understanding of being a Christian, and if that's the case, then yeah, it was just performative. But she doesn't know that. The problem that we have is it's very difficult to believe that she truly understands what it is to be a Christian because the church that she is a part of is definitely not known for being a like Christian church. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're Christian, but they're good guy Christians, right? Like everything's great, everything's groovy. I don't know because I actually don't even know her OnlyFan address. Um, so I don't know about the OnlyFan. I mean, the OnlyFan page, you know, if she doesn't own it, then that's kind of out of her control. If she does own it and it doesn't go down pretty soon, I would say that she's walking that thin line between like, hey, and we're going to try it, but we're not really going to do it until we figure it out. And if it's real, we'll go with it. And we'll delete it. If not, we won't. Um. So yeah. So yeah. I mean, my personal opinion is that the church that baptized her is known for doing this to OF girls, and I think that they are the ones seeking the clout, not Nala. I think Nala actually believes that she's doing the right thing and she's being a good Christian, and but she is she's led astray by the church that she has chosen to be a part of. Yeah. So, I mean, as much as I would really like to like lower the boom, I don't think that that's actually accurate. Yeah, it could be Randy. Yeah, could be. I have no idea. I have no idea, Strana. Flan, look, I'm not going to say it's taking advantage of her, but does it not just seem suspicious? You know, I mean, if a church kind of like, I hate to use the word specialize, but is known for the is known for saving OF girls, and then they save Nala. It's, I mean, yeah, it's all sus. I mean, literally, the whole thing is just like it's kind of crazy, right? Like it's terrible. Um, Either way it goes, right? Like, look, if she's real about it, great, right? And we'll see the fruits of that. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to ask questions. I'm not here to judge. If it's fake, then she has to live with that. I don't, you know. So, and I think that whoa, I've got to get used to this mic, man. This is gonna what I'm doing wrong. Um uh Randy, the problem that we have with the whole is she trying to get clout is, first of all, I think any girl her age probably would put her baptism online, weirdly. But also, again, my guess is that the church that she was baptized into probably suggested that she film it, and instead of keeping it low key so that they could be part of that. So, um yeah. Well, I'm pretty cynical about the whole thing. I mean, the thing is that I have to weigh all of the factors. What's up, AC? You missed a lot, dude. You missed a lot. But a lot of it was boring. You can catch it on the replay. Um so with Nala, I think the thing, I just have to, it's the totality of it, right? It's the totality of the circumstances. If she was baptized into a Southern Baptist church in the South, I would honestly have no problem with her doing any of it, because hellfire and brimstone, baby. Getting baptized into a church in California, I mean, do we think that the do we think that the um do we think that the pastor even talked to her beforehand? So, I don't know. So it's an interesting thing, right? It's an interesting thing to talk about. So she has accomplished that part of her goal. I don't know if she's going to get in. I mean, she probably will get subs out of it. I mean, there's a bunch of weird people out there these days. So, yeah. AC, you got any really cool topics you want to address, chat about? before I call it a night. I've been on for 3.5 hours. Yeah. I'm a Southern Baptist. We 100% believe in the hellfire and brimstone teaching of you are going to go to hell. Yeah. Jess, we're talking about LA, not just California, but in LA. I doubt seriously there's a real church in LA. I could be wrong. That might be my cue to call it a night. Right as AC comes back, man. I'm really sorry about that. AC, it's been a super chill show, man. I mean, you're really gonna kind of, you might yawn through it, most of it. It's been really chill. It's been a great show for me. Um, probably we might do one Monday night and just like be all energetic and tear shit up. I don't know. Definitely Wednesday night we're gonna tear some shit up. So, all right. It's a messy day. It's a busy day for me. It's been busy for me a lot lately, so it just is what it is. It's been such a good chill show though, man. I don't normally have like really relaxed shows, and usually I'm like I got something that's got to be under my bonnet and I just got to tear it up. But today it's just been like, man, it's good. Whatever. Other than the tech issues were no good. Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna do Monday. It might be a late show on Monday, might be like a 9 o'clock start, but I think I'll do Monday. I've been I've been a little. I didn't do Wednesday. I did. I mean, I don't. AC, did you catch the show last night with Based Oracle? The one I think one of the reasons I'm so chill tonight is I got a lot of it out last night with the Based Oracle guy. So yeah, it was a good show last night. It really was. And yeah, that was a good show. I had a lot of fun with that. I think I'm like super chill tonight, so it's been cool. Been very cool. All right, guys. I think the Nala thing was something. Let's see. I wasn't sure to participate in the chat as I was late again. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that dude last night was pretty based. I mean, he's actually a little harder line than I am. We definitely had some places that we disagreed, right? But overall, and I really do think that in all things that we as people we tend to disagree on small things, and then that's um it's just a different, just because it's a small thing and we just like you know go completely opposite directions because of it. I think that's stupid. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, I think I'm going to call it. I've been on 3.5 hours. I can't believe I've been on this long. I hadn't really said a whole lot tonight. It's been a very chill show. Just what did we disagree on? Um, he's pretty hard line on a couple of things regarding women, and which is something that I fight, and I really want to kind of save this for a whole show when I'm like lit up, but we can touch on it now. So, just like I have a problem with the red pill guys being grifters, I have a problem with the manosphere guys, and I can't use a word other than that to describe them, for being so anti-feminist that to some degree they're anti-women, right? And I say that because they very frequently will say some of the most retarded things when it comes to talking about what they expect out of women, um, and the it's just too hard line, right? Like, which is fine. Okay, look, if you can actually find a girl that is that for you, great. That's what you need. Get it. That's my whole thing. Um, Strana, it is actually. I don't know if you've watched his discussions. They're pretty close to Black Pill, right? Like pretty close. Um, but it's just it's they're just so hard line about the way they view women and view a bunch of things that I just can't get into it. Spectre's kind of that way, right? Like he's like, it's got to be this or nothing, which is fine. Hey, look, everybody can have their own standards. I support that. I just believe in reality, right? And that's where I kept catching him on everything is that, well, the reality is this. And as long as we live in reality, everything's going to be great. If you start stepping too far out of reality, you are screwed. And that's where a lot of these guys live is they live in some place that's not in reality. And what I really dislike is all of these single dudes who haven't had a date in months, and when they do, the chicks block them or whatever. They um are talking to other people who are in good relationships about what they should be doing in their relationship. So that I have a real problem with. Um, and I think that anybody that takes a hard line in the sand on most things is they probably have some issue somewhere that needs to be sorted out. Let's see. Let me catch up here. Is that close to Black Pill? I answered that. Yeah, I think it is. Extreme black and white mentality is unproductive and self-conflictive. Yes, I agree with that. I don't know how bad women are if you find ones that don't live on social media or outside of big cities. So the thing is, I don't think that most women are bad. I think that most of them are okay. Um, do you think black pillars are just online too much? Yes, I do. I do believe that. I do believe that most of them tend to live a lot of their lives online and not in reality. That way, um, that which explains why they do not have a real grasp of what modern women are. Like when I laid it out and I say, hey, it's weird for a modern female to not be married by 25 and really weird if not married by 28. And somebody will say, well, they could be unmarried at 30 or 40. And I'll be like, yes, they can, but that's weird. Like that's not at that point. You have to wonder about what social awkwardness they have, what issues they have talking to people, if they're just they consider themselves picky, but they just actually just hate men, or whatever the issue is. Um, the the reality is that their ideal doesn't exist. We could argue that black pillars live in an echo chamber like feminists. However, I would actually argue that black pillars live on the outside of reality. They're looking in, they're on the cusp of reality. They don't live in reality because they refuse to accept the fact that our modern time is the modern time that we live in. Now, obviously, we can work to change our modern time. However, if you're looking for something that doesn't really exist, then you can't get it. No matter how much you want it, it doesn't exist. So you have to do the best you can with what you have today. And maybe tomorrow it can exist for your son. But right now doesn't, a lot of what they talk about does not exist. So, um, I mean, it used to. I mean, but then again, I don't know. It's a long, very long discussion that I don't know that I really want to get into it 4 hours in. But man, it's a great discussion to have. We'll talk about that on Monday. Promise. And I don't know that they're like real black pillars, but um, they're like black pillar adjacent. Social media makes me hate women. I can see that, Strana M. Yeah, I mean, probably. So women are already deceptive. So you give them a format where you can where you can have maximum deception. How do you think it's going to turn out? Really? Bueller? Anyone? Bueller? How do you think that's going to go? Bueller? Yeah, that's how it's going to go. I don't know, AC. I don't know who that is. I haven't watched any of his stuff. You guys are bad influence keeping me on. Strana would say no. Of course they do, Jess. I was asking to the chat, but is a guy with the most pessimistic. Yeah. Okay. Is a psychic, but more normal. All right, guys, I am going to call it. We're almost at 4 hours. I've had enough. You guys, I got to get up. Actually, I do have to get up relatively early in the morning, which is weird. The very nice chill pod, very laid back tonight. Happy you guys were here to kind of live through it, and I think Monday is going to be lit. So we'll come back on Monday, do it again, and you guys have a great rest of your night and or morning wherever you are, and you guys have a good few days. If I don't see you, we will. Yeah, we'll chat. Night, guys. See ya.